Hebrews chapter 10. Jesus paid the price. And chapter 10, verse 12. But this man, after he had offered one sacrifice, everybody say one sacrifice. Say, that was the final sacrifice. People, there will never be another sacrifice. This man, after he had offered one sacrifice for sins, forever sat down on the right hand of God, from henceforth expecting till his enemies be made his footstool. So we talked about that a lot. So God expects you. God expects you and I to rule. How must we rule? To get authority over demons and devils. To subdue Satan. To get them under your feet. Underfoot. Is that more or less it? This is more or less what we discussed in 3 different meetings. So, Jesus Christ is sitting at the right hand of the Father. And the word is used till, the word is used until. Depends on, do you read it in Acts, do you read it in Matthew, or do you read it in the Psalms? But Jesus is sitting on the right hand of the Father till his enemies be made his footstool. So Jesus is not coming back to this earth till the enemies are defeated. Okay? So get that in mind. So Jesus Christ, and in this, I think our series started with Matthew 12, where Jesus cast out devils, and the people say, by Beelzebub does he cast out devils. And Jesus said something. He said, if a kingdom is divided, it cannot stand. It shall fall. Is that right? And literally in Matthew 12, Jesus, verse 27, 8 and so forth, Jesus was referring to the fall of Jerusalem. The Jewish kingdom was right at the edge of falling because they rejected the Messiah. But indirectly, Jesus was referring to the kingdom of Satan. Because after he talked about if a kingdom is divided, because he said, if your sons cast out devils, how do they cast it out? So he was talking about the kingdom of Israel. Then he goes out, he said, and if Satan, so he says, there's another kingdom too. If Satan, 2 different translations, rises up against himself, or if Satan is divided against himself, his kingdom shall fall. Darkness and light. Now tonight it's going to be awesome. There's 2 kingdoms, darkness and light. This one is headed by Satan, the devil himself. This one is headed by God Almighty. Okay. 1 John 3:8. He that committeth sin is of the devil. The devil is sinning. From the in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The devil sinneth from the beginning. And after the beginning, God said, let there be light. After the beginning, God created things. After the beginning, God planted a garden in Eden. After the beginning, God said, let there be plants and let there be fish. After the beginning, God made man after his own image, after his likeness. After the beginning, God said to man, rule. So God said to man, in the beginning, after God made man, he said, subdue. Now I had the joke when I preached on the 2 trees. I said, what did they have to subdue? God knew that there was a snake in the grass. Chapter 3 says, but the serpent was more guile than all the animals in the earth. So he was there before man was there. The devil sinned before Adam and Eve walked on the ground of this earth. The devil sinned from the beginning. 2 kingdoms. One is headed by Satan. One is headed by God. One is called darkness. One is called light. God brought a vision between darkness and light, and God saw that light was good. And he separated the 2 from one another. Before there was a sun and a moon and a star. John 8:44. Ye are of your father, the devil. And the lusts of your father you will do. Are you ready? He was a murderer from the beginning. and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaks a lie, he speaks of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it. He sinned from the beginning. He was a murderer from the beginning. From the beginning. He is a liar from the beginning. And when he speaks lies, he speaks of his own. So God says, the devil is a father. So is God a father. This one is the father of lies. This one is the father of truth. Okay? We're going somewhere. Okay? So let's go. 1 John 3:8. He that commit the sin is of the devil, for the devil sinned from the beginning. For this purpose, the Son of God was manifested. Now, the Son of God was there throughout the ages. Manifested means he revealed himself. He came into the open. He doesn't say he just came into existence. He manifested. So the Word became flesh. That he might destroy the works. That he might destroy the works of the devil. Okay. So Colossians 2 verses 13, 14, 15 says, Jesus Christ made an open display of the principalities and the powers, triumphing over them openly in it, that is the cross. So the devil was dealt a defeated blow on the cross of Calvary. But if he's a father, then he must have children. Remember in Acts chapter 13, just take note of what I'm saying. Paul and Barnabas was on this island. And the governor of the island's name was also Saul. Remember? And he wanted to hear the word of the Lord. And there was this magician on the island. And he was coming and Saul turned around, who became then Paul. He said, you child of the devil, how long will you keep on twisting the ways of God? So the devil has got children. So God has got children if you receive the manifested Son. Okay? For this purpose was the Son of God made manifest. So the Word came and was made flesh. As many as received him gave you the power to become children. So God has got children. So we are either children of darkness or children of the light. Either Satan is our father or God is our father. Either we're busy with lies or we are in truth. So Colossians 1:13, we have been translated from the kingdom of darkness to the kingdom of his dear Son. Peter says the kingdom of light. Two kingdoms, two fathers, two gods. 2 Corinthians 4, the God of this world has blinded the eyes of the unbeliever. Are you in 1 Corinthians 15? 25, I'm going to read Amplified. For Christ must be king and reign until he has put all his enemies under his feet. So Jesus Christ is king right now. We're not going to crown him kings. He was crowned king 2,000 years ago. In his humiliation, he was exalted, and God made him and gave him a name that's far above every other name. And God made him Lord and Christ. God gave him a kingdom, and he said a certain king that had to receive a kingdom took a journey to a far country world, earth. He took a journey to a far country. And after he received his kingdom, he went back. Okay? So he is king right now. And we are kings, he's the king of kings. We are the kings. And he is the king. So let's go back to where we started. God expects, Hebrews 10. It's expected from you to get the devil under your feet. So God expects. So Christ are going to rule. He's going to sit on the throne until all the enemies are under his feet. Until all his enemies. Now, verse 26. The last enemy to be subdued and abolished is death. The word subdued, I said it the other day, there's 5, 6 different translations in in English, but when you come to the Greek, it's the same word that says to put and keep underfoot. For he, the Father, has put all things in subjection under his, that is Christ's feet. Listen, please. But when it says all things are put in subjection under him, it is evident that he himself is accepted who does the subjecting of all things to him. However, when everything is subjected to him, then the Son himself will also subject himself to the Father, who put all things under him, so that God may be all in all, be everything to everyone, supreme, the indwelling and controlling factor of life. There's two different subjectings here. How many see that word there? Christ is seated as king at the right hand till everything is subdued. And the word is used there about enemies. The devil, the demons. And when all the demons and devils are defeated, he calls them enemies. Then the Son will submit himself. Not the same thing as that subduing. But the Son will come to a place where he said, everything is now overcome. Because the English has got overcome, subdue, conquer. 3 words. Greek has got 1 word with different prepositions. And the one here is, when everything is now conquered, the Son will not be conquered. He will submit and say, Father, now it's time that you take over. There's a all that will be reconciled. There's a all that will be subjected. The one will be in that kingdom, and the one will be in that kingdom. This side will not be here, and that side will not be here. So Colossians 1 and verse 13 says, we've been translated from darkness to the kingdom of his dear Son. But verse 20 says, God has reconciled all things unto himself. Now, if we look at the previous verses, it says, all things were made by him and for him, whether they be thrones or dominions or principalities. But when it comes to reconciliation, it says, so he will reconcile all things in heaven and in earth unto himself. Okay? Not under the earth, not principalities, not demons, not powers. So the reconciliation does not involve principalities, powers, demons, and devils. The reconciliation only involves people and the things in heaven that has been reconciled. When Christ died, he took his blood and he cleansed the heavens, Hebrews chapter 9. Because the earthly tabernacle had to be cleansed by blood, it was only a replica of the true, where Christ went in with his own blood to bring reconciliation. So let's look at 1 or 2 things. There's Jesus hanging. There's 2 forces at work. This is the defeat of this kingdom. This is the victory of this kingdom. So there's a cross standing between the 2 kingdoms. There's a thief hanging on this side. There's a thief hanging on this side. This one rejected him. This one received him. This one said, remember me. Remember. Put me together. Take my members and make them one with you. Remember. Put me back together. So he was reconciled. This thief rejected him. So he was subjected, rejected, defeated, and a castaway. This one went to paradise. This one went to hell. I can't put it clearer than that. John 10:10. The thief comes. Let's put it, darkness, light. Steal, kill, and destroy. I have come that you might have life and have it more abundantly. Well, the same John 10 is the same discussion as John 9. Here comes Jesus and the disciples, and there's a blind man from birth. The disciples, who sinned, his parents or him, that he is blind? Jesus said, the question is not about his sinning. The question is, let's do the works of God. Okay? So the works of God is heal him. So if the works of God is to heal him, who made him sick? Did the devil make him sick? Or was another force involved? Was it his sin? No, Jesus already said it wasn't sin. He said it wasn't his father's sin, it wasn't his mother's sin. So they go on, say he's a sinner. I don't know. We know that God does not answer sinners, but if anybody is a true worshiper, John 9:31, then we know God will answer him. So they go on. So Jesus, the same discussion. Remember, the Bible wasn't written in chapters. Same discussion. Jesus is still talking about the blind man. And he talks about nobody's as blind as those. And he ends chapter 9 with the blind leading and things like that about the Pharisees. Then he goes on to say, everybody that came before me are thieves. He's still talking about, they're still busy with the blind man. And in that same discussion, he goes on. If it's not true, you tell me, what does chapter 10 verse 21 means? Open it and read it. John 10:21. I dare you. Can the devil open the eyes of the blind? So it's out of John 9. So if the devil can't open the eyes, what does it say indirectly? The devil closed the eyes. So physically, he makes sick. Satan can bind you. Luke 13:10. This woman whom Satan has bound, lo these 18 years, must she not be loose from her infirmity? Acts 10:38. How God anointed Jesus of Nazareth, who went about doing good, healing all who were of the. So can you try and tell me what the word oppress means, all the students in the house? Under the power of the devil. So the sick were under the power of the devil, not God. Jesus took them out of that power and put them under this power. Has the devil got power on earth? Can he do things? Luke 10:19-21. And the 17 came back, rejoicing. Oh Jesus, even the devils are subject to us in your name. Jesus said, rejoice not in this, but rejoice that your names are written in heaven. I sent you, behold, I saw Satan fall like lightning from heaven. Behold, I give you authority and power over his power. So he's got power, you got power and authority. If there's a muscle man in the house, he's got power. He can be a sergeant major in the army. I stand up and I'm a captain. I've got authority. He's got power. He can smash his whole building up. He can break the flags. He's so strong. That's how much power he's got. I've got authority. I say, sit down. So we don't preach to devils. We cast them out. The reconciliation is for this people. The subjection is for those people. Isaiah 59. I'm just going to read this. God saw that there was no man, and wondered that there was no intercessor. Therefore his own arm brought him the victory, and his own righteousness sustained him. Verse 19, Amplified. So as the result of Messiah's intervention, they shall reverently fear the name of the Lord from the west, and his glory from the rising of the sun. When the enemy shall come in like a flood. You can put the flood with the devil, or you can put the flood with the Spirit. It doesn't change the context at all. Okay? When the enemy comes in like a flood, the Spirit of the Lord will lift up a standard against him. put the comma the other place like the Jewish rabbi says it's supposed to be. When the enemy comes in, like a flood, the Spirit of the Lord will lift up a standard against him and put him to flight. For he will come like a rushing stream, which the breath of the Lord drives. He shall come as a redeemer to Zion and to those in Jacob who turn from transgression, saith the Lord. Now, are you ready for this? So when the enemy comes in, the Spirit of the Lord will counter attack him. Okay. You must listen to what I'm going to say now. So is God in charge? No, God's not in charge. If God is in charge, why would the enemy come in? Why would God attack him? Why would God have to defend the enemy that he's put there? If God has said, attack me now, God attacks him, what's God proving? What is God? Why would God send Jesus to heal the sick that's under the power of the devil if God sent the devil to make them sick? Okay, I'm going to shock you now. This has been discussion the last week we were in Bible school. We had a teacher there by the name of Lemmer Duplessis. And he came in and he threw it on the table. He said, is God in control or isn't it? And we had a hot discussion for about an hour and a half. And he stood up and he wrote on the blackboard, God's not in charge. You are in charge. God sat down and said, now I'm waiting for you. If God is totally in control of what the devil is doing, why does he have a church? Why did he give you rulership? Why did he make you a king? Before man was there, the devil was a sinner, a liar, and a murderer. Before there was man. When God placed man there, he said, now watch out. There's somebody else in the garden. God says, but I give you all authority to subdue him, to rule over him. You can get him under your feet. Even after they were driven out of the garden, Genesis 4, sin lies at the door and lurks at you, and his desire is after you. But Cain, not Abel, not Seth, not the second firstborn. Remember, Cain and Abel both lost. Then Seth came the firstborn. Not Seth, Cain. The very firstborn that lost his firstborn right. Cain, you rule over the devil. If God must allow the sickness, why would Jesus come and take it off? Then he is in rebellion against his own Father. Then every doctor is in rebellion against God because they're trying to. Then everybody trying to get out medicine is reacting against the will of Almighty God. Because if God has placed it there, we are against God. Isaiah 54, the last one. You shall establish yourself in righteousness and in conformity with God's will and order. You shall be far from evil. You shall be far from the thought of oppression. You shall be far from the thought of destruction. For you shall not fear, and from terror, for it shall not come near you. Behold, I have created the smith, who blows on the fire of coals, and who produces a weapon for its purpose. I have created the devastator to destroy. God says that is his offers, the destroyer. It doesn't say, God say to him, destroy. God said, I made him to destroy. There he is. Now he's got his kingdom, and I have got no part in his kingdom. Jesus said, the devil comes, and he's got no part in me. Jesus has got no part in darkness, and darkness has got no part in him. That kingdom operates on its own. But God made you and said, now you rule over him. So Adam, you missed it. So Jesus came. Now Jesus sits and expects you to get that kingdom under your feet. And he's not coming until this kingdom is under that kingdom. If God is in absolute control, why is Jesus sitting? If God is in control, why did he say until? If God is in control, why did he say to Jesus, wait? So Jesus is on a boat. And they wake him up and say, carest thou not that we perish? So Jesus rebuked the storm. Would Jesus rebuke his own Father? Come on, church. It's so easy, just that easy to be misled. Will Jesus stand up and say, Father, I rebuke you for sending a storm to my disciples? Father, I rebuke you for allowing the devil to bring a storm in the boat. No, Jesus said, devil, you take your storm and get out. Who brought the storm? God. Was God in charge? If God was in charge, his own son was in rebellion against him. If he is, why did he make me a king? Why did he wash me in his blood? Why did he cause me to rule? Why did he say cast out devils? Why did he say Jesus is sitting still? If God is in control, what am I doing? If God is in control, why did Jesus come? Why is there then two kingdoms? So, but no weapon formed against you shall prosper. And every tongue that shall rise against you in judgment, you shall show to be in the wrong. This righteousness, this security, this triumph over opposition is the heritage of the servants of the Lord. So God says there will be opposition, but it's not from me. Where is it from? From the other kingdom. What does kingdoms do? They oppose one another. So God said, that's his kingdom. I've got no dealings with him any longer. The only time I'm going to deal with him is when the church has subjected him. Then we're going to throw him in that pit. But till then, sit, son.
Hey guys, please remember to click the subscribe button on your screen so that we can inform you when we're uploading more content, and we have a full library of content to be uploaded, so you're going to be blessed by that. Remember to click subscribe. Bless you.